Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another video. This video, by the title, gonna be about Fraudier, or as they were calling her, Cardi, or whatever you want to call her. So, niggas have been arguing about this shit on my Twitter for like 8 hours because I put out a tweet early this morning or afternoon. I really can't even remember. And the tweet said, I'm gonna read it because I have it up here. Payola and mainstream industry push will get you far as fuck. It certainly got Igloo Australia all the way to the Grammys, right? Somebody responded to me with, is it about that Bronx rapper? She also fits the aesthetics, ambiguous and brown, like that fake funk artist from Hawaii. Somebody responded to that with, how is she ambiguous? People like Amber Rose are racially ambiguous. Cardi clearly looks like a light-skinned black girl. People then proceeded to sit in my mentions and argue for like 6 hours, literally 6 to 8 hours, over whether or not Cardi B is or is not black, which in my opinion makes her the textbook definition of racially ambiguous. Matter of fact, let me Google exactly what these words mean so I could tell y'all exactly what these words mean, because I feel like people have a lot of confusion even over what racially ambiguous even means, which is something that I also noticed with the whole Bruno Mars thing. People feel like I don't know what people feel like racially ambiguous means, because so let's just see what it says on the internet. Racially ambiguous. Racially ambiguous. Unable to pinpoint one's racial background just by looking at them, being racially unidentifiable, right? Okay, so prime example, I would also say that Kim Kardashian is racially ambiguous. She's like a dark white, she's a spicy white. People aren't exactly sure what Armenian means. Is she a woman of color? Is she white? You know, there's confusion. There's confusion around the racial identity. That is, let me tell y'all what ambiguous. We all hopefully know what racial means. Let's see what ambiguous means. Ambiguous, unclear or inexact, right? I'm not racially ambiguous. I can only be what I am. That's a Negro, right? Okay, so I would say that the fact that people sat in my mentions arguing for 6 to 8 hours about is or is Cardi B black or not black, I feel like it's undeniable that she is racially ambiguous. Now, in terms of her blackness, I do think it's unclear. I think that it's deliberately unclear. Back in the day when I used to follow Cardi B on Instagram, this was like 5 years ago, like when Cardi B was just like a really funny stripper. She very vocally identified as black. She actually talked a lot about anti-black racism in the Latinx community. She always wore her hair like in afros and like in braids, and talked a lot about having like nappy hair, and talked a lot about how like, you know, the good hair versus bad hair, and she talked a lot about colorism. Like, Cardi B is a fucking smart cookie, okay? Like, I feel like this is also something that's like kind of now being like pushed under the radar now that she's kind of gone more mainstream. Like, Cardi B is very fucking smart. Like, don't let her being from the hood confuse you. So I definitely feel like now that she has gone more mainstream, they are playing up her racial ambiguity a lot more. I do feel like she has clammed up about, is she or isn't she fucking black? And I have to say that I don't like that. I don't fuck with that. I don't think that's cool. I don't think I don't think that type of thing is cool. Like, again, because the very definition of racial ambiguity means, you know, it's unclear. So I don't like that. You know, you can come out one way talking that shit and then get put on and change your mind. But that's really not the point of this video. You guys can argue about that and all y'all want in the comment section. But I think we can all kind of agree that it is undeniable that she's racially ambiguous. So I want to talk in this video just from the perspective of her being racially ambiguous, right? So the two questions become, if she is racially ambiguous, right? I'm going to read you guys my initial tweet again. Payola and mainstream industry push will get you far as fuck. The two questions become, do we think that Cardi B is getting a mainstream push? And if so, why? I do think that Cardi B is getting a mainstream push. I like Cardi's fucking personality. I would love to be able to support her. I thought I thought her whole kind of story of, she started out stripping. She didn't take herself too seriously. She was extremely smart. She was, extremely bright, funny, talking about, interesting and also serious topics on Instagram and becoming this kind of Instagram personality, which led to her kind of getting bookings and doing shows and making appearances and making a lot of kind of independent money, which led to her getting on Love and Hip Hop. They made up this rapper storyline for her. They brought in the best writers and within a year now she's like, this big ass, rap bitch or whatever. But do we think she's getting a mainstream push? And if so, why? I do think she's getting a mainstream push. Now, I said on Twitter that I thought she was getting a mainstream push, and somebody was like, I don't think she's getting a mainstream push. I feel like her rise has been organic. We've all seen her rise over the years. Now, I want to address that because, as I just said, I am somebody that's been familiar with her for at least the last five years at least. I've been familiar with this girl for at least the last 5 years. Now, I would say that her rise as a personality, as a media personality, as an Instagram personality, a TV personality, a reality star, I feel like her rise has been organic. We all have literally watched her kind of like come from nothing and rise. Now, would I say her rap career was organic? No, I would not. I do think that her rap career, this is someone that literally 1 year ago was not rapping. Literally. 1 year ago, she was not rapping, okay? She was never posting no rap videos to Instagram. She wasn't releasing no mixtapes. Like, 1 year ago, this girl was, or maybe, I don't know, a year and a, let's say a year and a half. Let's be generous and give her a year and a half. This is somebody that was not rapping, period, okay? So for her to go from not rapping at all, not spitting nothing, to getting out a major label debut, getting out several mixtapes, getting all these, sponsored endorsements, Amazon and Hulu, and she's the face of Snap, and she got a Super Bowl commercial, I don't think that we can in good faith say that she is not getting a mainstream industry push. Again, even though her rise as a personality may have been organic, quote unquote, her rise as a rapper, as a rap star has not been organic. Like fucking Oprah, okay, posted on Instagram yesterday that she's like listening to fucking Cardi B's album, all right? This is somebody that went on record as saying she doesn't even think that fucking black people should call each other the N-word, but now she's listening to fucking Bickenhead and motherfucking Bodak Yellow. No. I do think there is a huge mainstream industry push. I do think that fucking payola is involved. I do think that people are getting paid to push this girl and to talk about her album and to review her and to make it like she's the hottest, biggest shit out. And that's just how I feel about that. Like, I really do. I believe that. Like, I believe that. You have artists. I said this on Twitter that Dej Loaf comes to mind immediately that have been out for years, right? Years, have had huge hits. Try Me was a huge hit. Back Up with Big Sean, woo, yeah, yeah, bitch, back up off me, went platinum, charted, right? That wasn't a fucking no type of album, major label album, release. That was off of an EP, like, so, and yet Dej does not have a debut album out, and she's been around for fucking years. You could name artists, Tink, Lady Lesher, Kamaya, who went on fucking tour last year with fucking YG and Logic, which Dick Logic, you guys know how I feel about that guy. But there are Carrie Foe that had like a huge fucking single with Childish Gambino and did get an album out and then kind of like quietly like faded into obscurity. So I do think you have other artists that have been around longer that have also had big fucking hits. I had somebody else say, well, those girls haven't got put on because they're not charismatic. They don't have the same type of personality as a fucking Cardi B, which I had somebody else come in and say, like, well, you have a girl like Cupcake. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, who has like practically the exact same personality as the Cardi B, who also raps, who makes the exact same type of music. You have Sweetie from Oakland, who makes almost the exact same kind of music. That girls that cannot get put on, right? That are not getting the same type of mainstream industry push, you know, like, and so then the question becomes, why? So the two questions are, do we think she's getting a mainstream push? And if so, why? Like I said, I do think she's getting a mainstream push, and I feel like the reason why she's getting the mainstream push is because she is racially ambiguous. She is serving as a placeholder in hip-hop culture, similar to a Bruno Mars, as somebody that's making this ghetto hood rap bird shit fucking palatable. Let's go back to fucking Oprah. Oprah puts on Instagram that she's listening to fucking Fraudier album. Now we talking about like rich middle-aged white bitches, because that is Oprah's fan base. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, that now know who this bitch is, and they're maybe now gonna, I mean, Cardi's fan base in general is fucking white hoes that want to be ratchet, right? Like, again, talking about the mainstream corporate sponsorships, Amazon, Hulu, the face of Snapchat, Super Bowl commercials. That's pandering to white people. That's pandering to white people, period. Like, that's motherfucking, that's white culture, bitch. Like, these are this bitch's fucking fans. Like, white hoes that want to be down, that want to be ratchet, that want this gateway, this conduit into, again, ghetto, bird, hood rat culture. And I feel like Cardi and her racial ambiguity are being used to serve as that gateway. Now, getting back to the issue, isn't she black? If she is black and she's toning it down in order to remain palatable, that's fucked up. If she's not black, now she claims her parents are black. Her mom is like Afro-Trinidadian mixed with Dominican. A lot of people have been saying that they don't believe that. They think her mom is just like a straight up Latinx and her father is like a straight up Latinx. I don't know her personally. I'm trying to think, have I seen her parents? I think somebody did tweet me a picture of her parents. And as far as I could tell, her parents didn't look black to me. And that was the first time I ever saw them. So it's like, if you are black, but you're toning it down now to make it yourself more palatable, that's fucked up. If you're not black and you're pretending, that's fucked up. So I kind of feel like, me personally, I'm kind of getting to the point where I feel like it really doesn't matter either way. Like, it's fucked up both ways. And I've also heard people say, well, I know black girls, light-skinned black girls that look like fucking Cardi B. And to that, I also kind of say, like, well, you could say all you want about, like, the black chicks that you know personally that look like Cardi, but I do feel like there's a reason that her album came out before Dej Loaf, right, with all this industry push. And it's not just that she's charismatic with star quality, and it's not that she's the fucking prodigal fucking daughter, that she's such an amazing-ass rapper with all this talent that we had to, like, rush this bitch's album out with all this motherfucking promo. Like, no, like, I don't, like, this bitch is going on tour with Bruno Mars, who just won Album of the Year, okay? Like, somebody had left a comment on Beastwick that was like, it's the Racial Ambiguity Tour coming to a city near you, which is hilarious because that makes it the Rat Tour, which is hilarious. So it's just like, again, the two questions. Do we think she's getting a mainstream push? And if so, why? Is this payola? Is this favoritism? Is this making things accessible? Is this racial ambiguity privilege? And I feel like it is. I feel like it's blatant favoritism, blatant payola, blatant industry pushing, blatant, again, using her as this conduit into this certain type of culture because she looks a certain type of way, you know? And I've also seen people saying, well, you also have artists like Rihanna, and someone brought up Nicki Minaj, and they were like, you know, well, they also benefit from colorism. They also benefit from light skin privilege, from pretty privilege. And I said, Rihanna and Nicki Minaj definitely benefit from light skin privilege, definitely benefit from colorism, definitely 100% benefit from pretty privilege. Someone also said that Nicki and Rihanna as Caribbean girls, West Indian girls, also benefit from foreign privilege. And I would say that I also even agree with that. I was like, however, Cardi B speaking Spanish does also put a spin on things because now she also benefits from the exotic Latinx Spanish speaker angle. I was like, and that's obviously a conversation that has been really prevalent recently because people don't even know like the Afro Latinx people exist. That's like a conversation we've been having to have. I was like, so she is still fitting into this like certain demographic that somebody, as a Spanish speaker even, that somebody like a Nicki Minaj or Rihanna is not seen as. And a lot of people, myself included, also feel like Cardi is kind of being positioned as this kind of direct fucking challenge to Nicki Minaj. And I think that her racial ambiguity also plays in that, because Nicki Minaj is seen as that fucking black bitch with the attitude. Like, she might be trendy, yes, but she's also seen as that black bitch from Queens with the nasty ass attitude. Does she benefit from her pretty privilege? 100%. Does she benefit from her light skin privilege? 100%. Does she even benefit from being able to like yell out Trinidad? 100%. Yet there is no fucking is she or isn't she with Nicki Minaj, the way that there is a is she or isn't she with Cardi B. And again, getting back to what I've said previously about Bruno Mars, I was like, to us black people, I feel like we might look at a Cardi B or a Bruno Mars, and to us, they look black. So we say, oh yeah, they're black. But like, they're not being positioned for us. Like with this mainstream push, again, Oprah putting that shit on Instagram and putting them on the Super Bowl, that's not a positioning for us black people. That's a positioning for white consumers, for the mainstream, the mainstream white consumer. So how does that person view these racially ambiguous artists? Why are these the artists that are chosen even above the visibly black artists to be elevated? Even the light-skinned fucking visibly black artists. Somebody else brought up Beyonce. Well, Beyonce also benefits from fucking light-skin privilege and colorism. And just like I said about Bruno Mars, I was like, but Beyonce, if Beyonce was benefiting the same, she would have 5 million Album of the Year fucking Grammys by now, and she does not, because at the end of the day, she's still visibly black. We could still look at her and be like, that's a light-skinned black bitch. We could still look at Nicki and be like, that's a light-skinned black bitch. We could still look at Rihanna and be like, that's a light-skinned black bitch. They literally ran a fucking fashion piece about Rihanna, and the fucking headline on the shit said, "The Niggabitch." Okay? Like, Snapchat ran a whole fucking offensive-ass ad, would you rather fucking punch Chris Brown or slap Rihanna? That's some shit that only happens if you're black. Like, that's some shit that only happens if you are a visible Negro. Okay? Once this racial ambiguity starts coming into play, it's a totally different ballpark, and I kind of feel like people are really deliberately overlooking that because they like Cardi, they like her personality, they like, they maybe even like her music. Now, I think her album was motherfucking trash, and the fact that they even brought in a whole team of writers to make that trash is just amazing, but it's just like, it's somebody said that it's whitewashing, and then people were like, well, how is it whitewashing when she's not white? But I mean, it is. Maybe we need another word for it: brown washing, light washing, racial ambiguity washing. But all these things serve. And I even was talking to a friend about this, and I said that I personally feel like all this shit started with Drake, because Drake was the very first time, number one, that we saw somebody get their card pulled as a fraud. Like, you're not writing your own shit. You have a team of writers, and you're an actor basically, and it was fine. And then we also had somebody that could really like appeal in a certain type of way to white audiences as well as audiences of color, and just like blow the fuck up, right? And now we're living in this era where it's just like fuck motherfucking frauds running around everywhere. And I want to get back to even the positioning of Cardi as this like direct challenge to Nicki Minaj. You have people saying that like Cardi runs hip hop, and like Cardi is the queen and this and that. And I'm like, Cardi's only been rapping a year and a half. Her debut album just came out last week, literally. And we saw even this same narrative being pushed with motherfucking Amethyst Kelly, aka Australian Voldemort, aka motherfucking Igloo Australia. She came out before her debut album was even out. You had headlines saying a blonde white woman, Australian woman, runs hip hop. Meanwhile, again, going back to visibly black artists that have to work very hard. Beyonce came up in a girl group and had to work for years before her fucking debut album as a solo artist came out. Rihanna had to work for years before she really achieved mainstream success with her third or fourth album, Good Girl Gone Bad. Nicki Minaj had to put out mixtapes for years, had to move to Atlanta, had to fucking go here and go there and do all this work to be taken serious seriously as a visibly black artist, although these artists did still, yes, benefit from pretty privilege, colorism, and light-skin privilege, but they are still visibly black artists that have had to put in a certain amount of work just because they're black. Meanwhile, we can see somebody like Cardi B, who, again, we certainly may have seen her rise organically in terms of being a media personality, but in terms of her rap career, it was kind of like, snap your fingers and all this shit got handed to her. And why is that? Do we think she's getting a mainstream push? And if so, why? Why did her debut album come out before A Dej Loaf? Why is she going on tour with Bruno Mars? Now, somebody I know is going to say because they're label mates. They're label mates on Atlantic. Speaking of Atlantic, Lady Lesher, who I mentioned previously in this video, who is a black girl rapper, visibly black, from the UK, can spit, can rap her ass off. She publicly went on record and said that Atlantic was offering deals to girls if they would go at Nicki Minaj. Like, Atlantic is trying to, like, she was like, you know, like, Atlantic trying to basically, like, take Nicki Minaj out. Like, they tired of that bitch. Like, they're trying to take her out. So I think it's also a really interesting point that fucking Cardi B and also Bruno Mars are signed to Atlantic. They are signed to this label that artists have gone on record as saying this is a label that's trying to, like, take out black artists, essentially. There's something to be said for that, in my opinion. There's just something to be said for that. Again, Cardi B could be the kind of racially ambiguous, cute Spanish speaker that everything is ratchet and ghetto and ow. Nicki is like, God, they're going to have black bitch again talk about Taylor Swift. They're going to have black bitch again talk about motherfucking Iggy Azalea. They're going to have black bitch again talk about y'all got everybody infiltrated Negroes. They're going to have black bitch again talk about Miley was good. Get this black bitch with this nasty ass attitude out of my fucking face. Like, I don't, like, get her out of my face. I think there's something to be said for that. You know? I think there's something to be said for that. Like, Cardi had all these corporate sponsorships before she even had an album out. Like, yes, she does have an extremely... Now, will I say that Cardi is motherfucking talented, a talented rapper? No, but that's just my opinion. Like, we can all say that that's subjective. Does she have an extremely dynamic personality with a lot of star power and charisma? For sure, but I don't think that's the only thing going on here. Again, corporate sponsorships and all this major label push and I think that at the end of the day, this girl is not a rapper. She's a smart girl, very smart, very charismatic, very pretty, very dope personality, understands that she's seen as racially ambiguous, understands that she can serve as this conduit, understands that she's getting this certain amount of privilege, so she's taking advantage of an opportunity because Cardi is about that shmoney, okay, since day one, and great for her, but I don't have to support that. I don't have to support that. And I can say that I feel like payola and a mainstream industry push will get your ass motherfucking far in this industry. Like, and I'm not required to give her one dime of my money if I don't want to. Because I also see people saying, like, oh, well, like, why don't you just want to just, like, support her and, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, I don't fucking have to, number one. And I don't feel comfortable with what I feel like I'm witnessing in terms of, again, the clear favoritism, the clear mainstream and corporate industry push, the clear payola. I believe people are getting motherfucking cut checks. I'm not even with the fact that it came out that, again, she has teams of writers and she's just on her shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, Fraudier. Like, that's fraud. That's fraudulent to me. Like, I'm not with it. Like, especially for people that walk around and talk about how they so real, they so authentic and this and that. It's like, okay, but that's only up to a certain point, I guess, because it's fine for you to not write your own shit. It's fine for this whole fucking career to be a fabrication that was made up a year and a half ago because somebody saw the opportunity with you to turn you into this conduit. And now, of course, this is still representative of a racist white supremacist system that loves black culture and hates black bodies, and again has caught on to the fact that we're not with the white people shit anymore, so how can we slide other types of people in there? And we just have to really, I think, start talking about that in a different kind of way, because I think it is also only going to become more prevalent as time goes on. And like I said, I just find something about this to be, like, really uncomfortable. And I do think she's getting a mainstream industry push. And I do think the reason behind it is her racial ambiguity allows her to serve as a perfect placeholder. You know, Bruno and Cardi going on the racial ambiguity tour, coming to a city near you. Right? Fraudier. Cardio Cardi. That's just how I feel. So I know y'all gonna be arguing in the comments. Remember the house rules. Let me know what you guys think. There will be links in the description box. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. I just noticed my green bra is hanging out. Let me know what you think. Peace.